get things done. All right, and we are live. Hello, and thank you for joining Securing the Bag with Seth Underwood. I am your host, Seth Underwood. And ladies and gentlemen, we have so much to talk about tonight and very little time to do so because the technological singularity is at hand and the machine elves wait for no one. And speaking of the technological singularity, do you know what's even faster, right around the corner, than that event? It is the 2019 Summer Democratic Debates Round 2, hosted by CNN. We are now 21 days, that's right, 21 days away from these debates. It feels a little bit like deja vu. You know, haven't we been through this a little bit before? I think we have. There's a little bit of news here that I have just seen that we're going to go straight into before we get into the introductions and the quick business and all of that. So let's just take a quick look. It appears that some rules have been dropped just now for the Democratic debates on CNN. I was not aware that there was going to be rules. So let's just take a quick look and see what this hoopla is about. From CNN.com, we have the upcoming Democratic presidential debates will feature opening and closing statements and 2 hours of debate time each night. Representatives from more than 20 candidates competing in the primary were informed Tuesday by CNN. Great. I really do hope that they stay true to the opening statement. That would be incredible. Again, as I've explained before, CNN is airing my mic is working. It's right around this time that I normally see that my mic is not working. All right, cool, it's working. We're good to go. Cool. You know, one day I'm going to have someone hired and we're going to be, breaking past boundaries and I won't have to do this. But until then, back to the article. All right. CNN is airing the much-anticipated Democratic National Committee sanctioned debates live from Detroit at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on July the 30th and 31st. Dana Bash, Don Lemon, and Jake Tapper will serve together as the moderators for both debates. While candidates will not officially learn if they make the Detroit stage until July 17th, That's insane. While candidates will not officially learn if they make the Detroit stage until July 17th, well, we know that Yang has met all the criteria needed long ago, so there's no need to worry there, but apparently nothing's set in stone right now. Let's continue. Tuesday's call with the 20-plus Democratic campaigns was held to help them prepare for the debate should their respective candidates qualify, a CNN spokesperson said. The window to determine debate eligibility closes on July 16th, and candidates will be informed the next day if they will be invited to participate in Detroit. On July 18, CNN will air a live draw to determine the specific candidate lineups for each debate night. The campaign representatives will also learn on Tuesday that candidates will be given 60 seconds to respond to a moderator-directed question and 30 seconds for responses and rebuttals. What is up with my English today? In addition, the campaign representatives were told colored lights would be used to help the candidates manage their remaining response time. 15 seconds equals yellow, 5 seconds equals flashing red, no time remaining equals solid red. A candidate attacked by name by another candidate will be given 30 seconds to respond. There will be no show of hands or one-word down-the-line questions. Thank you, CNN. I never thought that I would use that sentence, that phrase, but thank you, CNN. Because again, remember that crazy question about healthcare and immigrants on the last debate stage was just nonsense. A candidate who constantly interrupts will have his or her time reduced. Oh no, Marianne, I hope you're all right. Well, no, she wasn't interrupting. I'm so sorry. I don't want to throw shade on Marianne. Questions posed by the moderators will appear on the bottom of the screen for television viewers. Thank you. Great, CNN. Perfect. That helps out with people like me who need closed caption just because I'm so ADD. CNN and the DNC will also be casting wide nets to gauge voters' concerns and interests in the weeks leading up to the debate, the CNN spokesperson said. I'm curious to know what type of format, what type of measurements they're making in that question gathering, because if it's just landline phones, then we're just going to get even more boomer concerned questions. We're going to be talking a lot about the differences between boomer concerns and zoomer concerns and us millennials and Gen Xers stuck in the middle a little bit today as we continue forward. But really quick, I just want to say it might be a little bit of a short episode tonight. I'm still a little bit out of it today. Yesterday I was a little bit out of it. Today I'm still a little bit out of it. You got to get back into the groove, into the rut of things. So I can't expect there to be too much to talk about tonight. Really, there's not anything going on. It is so slow. I don't know. I mean, really, right now, the only thing that's being spoken about in the news is the Epstein case, and I don't really want to delve into that. Because I like to try and stay afloat of all of the negativity. I like to rise above it, rise above all of those Dark Age gargoyles, and try to spend some more time with the Techno Moth. But we might talk a little bit about that, because I can put UBI in an angle towards it to hopefully try and make it not so grim. It's such a disgusting conversation. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So yeah, we might have a little bit of a shorter episode tonight. If it's really short, I'll see if my other buddies are down for some securing the win, or whatever I call it, tonight, and I might move over to Twitch later if any of y'all are interested in that. So real quick, some quick business concerning the stream. Thank you so much again to my new subscribers. I think I picked up about 4 or so since my last stream. Welcome. I am so happy that you have decided to join Securing the Bag and the Dividend Report in general. Make sure you are subscribed, sharing this with other members of the Yang Gang, and follow me on Twitter at Dividend Report. I have a lot of things to say there, sometimes a little bit too much, but you can always kind of mute me if you need to. But I'm very passionate about universal basic income, and you are helping me achieve my dream of making it a reality. And even more special thanks to my patrons, the patrons who have decided to spend a little bit out of their wallet each month to help me produce this show, to help me stay afloat so that I can spend the time to do this. You guys are the embodiment of the Yang Gang, the UBI movement, and I am so very thankful. I am not quite to my goal yet, so if you are interested in possibly throwing me a bone, I would greatly appreciate it if you could afford a coffee each month. Check me out on patreon.com. There's a link in my video description. All right, with that all out of the way, there's one last touch on the stream business right now. We may be doing something different tomorrow and the next day. I don't know about this. I'm racking through my head how to make this happen. The title of tonight's episode is "The Future is Calling." If you want a little bit of an insight into my creative thought process, what I try to do is come up with a theme each night and draw as many influences upon that theme as I can. And tonight it seems to be all about telecommunications. Telecommunications is where it is at. We're going to be talking about Google Duplex. We're going to be talking about deep fake, just general audio, and we are also going to be talking about something that's going to be very difficult for all of the millennials and the zoomers, which I feel are probably comprising the entirety of my chat tonight, and that is phone banking. Phone banking, is that what it's called? Phone, whatever you would call it. I should know right off the top of my tongue here, but I don't. We need to confront something that millennials hate, and just the younger generations in general, and that is speaking over the phone. It's tough. It's tough, y'all. I know it is, but it is needed now more than ever. If you are a part of the Yang Gang, Austin in the chat has already helped me out, and it helped explain the importance of what it means to volunteer your time for just, I'm telling you, like, if you could even just do 10 callers. The campaign's goal at this moment is to reach 20,000 eligible voters or potential voters in New Hampshire. If you just don't know about much in politics in general, there's so much predicated on the first states that cast in their votes. So Iowa, New Hampshire, these states are so critically important, even outside of general polling. All of the things that we tend to harp on, that we spend a lot of time here in the chat worrying about, they really kind of pale in comparison to how important it is to make a big splash in these states. And if we can come together and just all of us do a little bit of phone banking, and especially me, since I do have probably more time than the average person, I'm going to spend a lot of time doing it. I was hoping there may be some way that I could spend a little bit of a live stream setting up my laptop, picking up my phone. Obviously, I can't play what they're saying, but if you just hear how the phone calls, again, I'm a professional at this. I worked in a call center for a good year or so I think I could do this pretty well. But I've never been driven to do phone banking whatsoever. But for this, it's all different. This is some way in which I could absolutely help outside of the Dividend Report. So I don't know. I don't know about it. I'm thinking if there's some way I can do it on YouTube and and share with you all to show you how it's done, to maybe get some other people involved, we might do that. So anyways, again, like I said, telecommunications, big discussion for tonight. But before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and look into the comments here and do some quick good etiquette, of course, and greet some of the Yang Gang that's come along. Makina, welcome to the stream as always. I see that we have roped my girlfriend in here as well. Hey, Christine, I promise I'm going to behave. Austin, thank you so much for being in this stream and for setting the record straight. It is so important that the Yang Gang gets together and does these phone callings. Alyssa, welcome back. So good to see you here. Lumatopia, you are new in the chat. Welcome. I am so glad that you've decided to join us here tonight. And Elsa, welcome back as well. 2 Minute Papers is the best channel to get AI pilled. We are going to be speaking a little bit about AI in general. 2 Minute Papers is so good. It's a YouTube channel. Check them out. He very succinctly, very eloquently puts together probably extremely, over the head of most people, scientific papers into a digestible format. He's got a little bit of an accent, but that's okay. The Yang Gang can deal with that for sure. And let's see here. Let's tweet our concerns to CNN. The concerns being making sure that those hands aren't having to be raised in one certain moment or another. I completely agree. Thank y'all. Y'all listen to Nerds for Yang. I haven't checked out his video that he's done most recently. I need to do so. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for being here in the stream. Of course. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm telling you, man, it's been a little bit of a weird couple days. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just really out of it. Sometimes you get like ups and downs. Everything's just a wave. You got, sine and the cosine. It's been a long time. Crests and valleys. Crests and valleys. You go through, I don't know, maybe I'm just bipolar. Who knows? But things are just weird. Things are really weird. I'm waiting to get back into the groove of everything. One thing that seems to be a constant in my life, though, is for about, the fourth time? And if my girlfriend's in the chat, she'll be able to back me up on this. This is like the fourth time I've woken up from an email from my apartment complex saying that our pool is closed because someone has defecated in the pool. You remember I was talking in yesterday's episode about how I'm generally optimistic for humanity. It's being my strength, my mental fortitude in that assertion is being challenged every single day because this pool has been closed so many days in the past month. It's been summer and it's probably been open about 3/4 of the entire time. It was closed on the 4th of July because of defecation and people are just, throwing cigarette butts on the ground. And it's guys, I'm really being challenged right now. And I don't know what to do about it because do I want these people to get $1,000 a month if this is the way they're gonna behave? No, I'm kidding. Of course, I'm staying true to my morals here, because with $1,000 a month, I'm going to find a way to save that as quick as possible and get my own house with my own backyard, so I don't have to deal with other people. It's ridiculous. Who does that? I just had this long conversation about self-awareness and everything, and now, oh man, Listen, you can make assertions and you can be challenged on them. That's just human life. Second time that someone's defecated in it, like the 5th time that someone's trashed it. Great, yes. Was it Tori? Okay, listen guys, none of that, no bullying in my live stream. Get out of here. This is a serious, professionally made political live stream. Guys, cut it out. All right, so really quick. This is going to be a look forward into the future, and specifically we're going to be dealing with vocal vibrations or the lack thereof. As you all know, I've mentioned that I used to be a call center worker. My voice seems to be my strongest tool, so naturally I tried to find work within using my voice to handle bills, issues, tech, things of all of that nature. And the issue that I have with that job overall is just that it's not really designed for humans. It is so grueling. It's really probably the closest you can get to hell without actually dying is being in a call center and consistently having to deal with negativity, one call after another. I saw this article that was talking about these Facebook employees who are having to try and get all of the illegal content, all of the the Epstein-esque, you know what I'm talking about, the kind of stuff that you just don't want to think about. You know, there are people whose jobs is to sit in front of a computer all day and find this stuff, consume it mentally, and deal with it. It's I harp so much on mental health, spending 10 minutes a day thinking of something you're grateful for, surrounding yourself in the color green, and I feel so empathetic for these individuals, because phone bills and tech issues are one thing, but that's a whole nother ballpark. Jeez. And AI is the answer to that question. But before I get ahead of myself here, yeah, call center work is insanely difficult. It is terrible for someone myself who literally pulls their hair out in stressful, anxious situations. That wasn't the best scenario, and I found myself drinking quite a bit more than I would on normal. So, you know, I like to talk a lot about the call center work that I did and how it's formulated some of my deep love for the concept of a universal basic income, because of this conundrum, this query, this problem that we have with mental health, how it relates to certain occupations in many ways. The overall issue of fulfillment, and how I love that this is all spoken about with universal basic income. Well, luckily though, you don't even have to deal with, maybe luckily, maybe unluckily, you don't even have to go as far as the conversation of UBI to realize that this may be a concern of the past before too long. I've spoken about many times here on this show and on my Twitter account about Google Duplex is one of the conundrums that I like to add, because Andrew Yang likes to focus on truck drivers. He's broadened it a little bit in his analysis of the issues that we're facing, but he also says, you know, call center workers, briefly covers it. But I really like, this is the second biggest one for me. I think retail should be a little bigger on the list, but I think it's just bias from me. Call center work is about to be a thing of the past, and a lot of you may have already heard of Google Duplex. But in case you haven't, we're going to go ahead and take just a quick look to listen into what this technology is and what are the ramifications that it has for all of the rambling nonsense that I've been talking about in the past couple of minutes. I'm going to tie it all together, I promise. Like I said, my ADD is really kicking into gear lately. So what you're about to hear is a Google I/O. This is kind of their annual press conference or investor call type situation. It's a conference. It's a conference for Google. This is the CEO. Oh man, it doesn't have his name on here. I should know exactly what the CEO is, but he is pretty interesting guy, and he is showcasing this new technology. And keep in mind, this was back in 2018, I believe. So this is over a year old, about a year and a half old. Maybe just over a year. So, just a quick update. You're going to be listening to him speak first, and then you're going to hear a phone ringing. I believe the very first voice you will hear is a human voice, and then after that moment, you are going to hear a robotic robocaller speaking. So, let's take a listen here.
It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday.
I just really want to pause it very quick to point out what he just said. He said over 60%, or right at 60% of businesses within the United States don't have online booking, or a you know, kind of a an interface with which the customer kind of does it themselves, right? This is a huge efficiency metric. That 60% is massive. You know, it's easy to kind of get into this mindset of, wow, these corporations are trying to just destroy everything. But you need to understand that they really are coming at this from a problem-solving mind frame. This has the potential to create efficiency on a massive scale, and specifically efficiency for small business owners. This would be massive because it really does automate so much work. Anyways, let's go.
Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second.
I'm gonna pause it right there. So the that was, there's not a human involved with that at all. It's amazing.
Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
That was a real call you just heard. The amazing thing is the assistant can actually understand the nuances of conversation. We've been working on this technology for many years. It's called Google Duplex. It brings together all our investments over the years in natural language understanding, deep learning, text-to-speech. By the way, when we are done, the assistant can give you a confirmation notification saying your appointment has been taken care of. Let me give you another example. Let's say you want to call a restaurant, but maybe it's a small restaurant which is not easily available to book online. The call actually goes a bit differently than expected. So take a listen.
See how may I hear you?
Hi, I'd like to reserve a table for Wednesday the 7th.
For 7 people?
It's for 4 people.
4 people? When? Today?
Next Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Oh, actually we reserve for like upper like 5 people. For 4 people you can come.
How long is the wait usually to be seated?
For when, tomorrow or weekday or?
For
Okay,
next
so-
Wednesday, the 7th.
Well,
Oh no, it's not too busy. You can come for 4 people, okay?
Oh, I gotcha. Thanks.
Bye bye.
so that was a little hard to hear without the subtitles in front of you, but that was the point of the second call that they just made. And there's a few other calls, I think, and I'll try and find the article and make a tweet about it where those other calls are published. But so that second call was a little more difficult, and they were showcasing that even in ways in which miscommunication happens, there's like a patient quality within the duplex that still is able to resolve calls. So one of the metrics that we would be graded on in a call center was call resolution, which was basically, did you get the problem solved? And how long did it take you to get to that point? And resolution, like, that's an easy concept to think, but really there is an entire art involved with basically the issue tended to boil down to the problem where humans think too much about how the call is going when they really just kind of miss what the person is asking. Very, very simple instructions and understandings. You would think it would be the other way around, but that tended to be the case. So in many ways, in this difficult call, and one of the strengths, in fact, is the fact that this AI is never, ever going to get impatient. It will stay polite 100% of the time. Even you had to train these workers at call centers to not blow steam out of their ears when they're dealing with a justifiably excruciating call. Now, okay, so what you just heard was a technology that was showcased at Google I/O more than a year ago. more than a year ago, and it very eloquently shows how AI is. So here's a quick thing. I thought about this when we were listening to it. What year was Siri added as a function? This is going to be a case study in the nature of exponential technology and the singularity in general. Siri is a virtual assistant that is part of Apple Incorporated, blah, 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 spinoff. Siri is a spinoff of the project originally developed, the SRI, International Artificial Intelligence Sitter. It is speech recognition engine, was provided by Nuance Communications. Siri uses I'm going to get back to that in just a second. And Siri uses advanced machine learning technologies to function. It's original American, British, and Australian. Blah 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 blah. The voice assistant was released as an app for iOS in February 2010. So it was released as an app in February 2010. It was acquired by Apple 2 months later. Siri was integrated into the iPhone 4S at its release in October 2011. Oh man, yeah, I remember that. It was 2011, the iPhone 4S, all of the cool kids in school got their hand on it, and everyone was asking Siri questions. And she sucked. It was terrible. It really was not good at all. I mean, she would tell some jokes here and there, but really, at a certain point, probably around 2016 or so, all of a sudden, bam, it suddenly started to work. I'm not going to laugh at that. AK says, I'm an insurance agent. My job will be gone in 2 years. I saw the writing on the wall when I was at the call center. And since I was developing a drinking habit, I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here. So let's go ahead and deconstruct this just a little bit. This is the nature of exponential technology. October 2011, iPhone 4S, Siri introduced. Siri was not great. It was novel. It was novel, but it didn't work very well. And to this day, Siri is lagging behind other virtual assistants. And then at a certain point, it suddenly started to work, and we all subconsciously know when that happened. Here's the thing. There's a reason for that type of progression. Siri was introduced into all these phones. You have to go through the consumer adoption, get as many people having iPhone 4S as possible, and then you're in the data acquisition phase. So what is Google Duplex? Well, he said 3 things. It's natural language processing, NLP, machine learning, and text-to-speech recognition. Basically, these 3 components add up into what we see on the consumer end as a virtual assistant, something that can hear you speak and then come back with something that is hopefully intelligently remarking some type of assistant that you would have in real life. So that type of click that we saw that happened maybe 4 or 5 years later happened because all of a sudden we hit a mass point in data collection from people talking to Siri. It was able to acquire so many times. It's basically just trial and error. It's saying, oh, I didn't quite hear what you said. Say it again for me, please. And then it sees what you did try to say, and then it makes a note. It makes a note that's printed into its code for the rest of forever, and then it's always able to like get better and better and better and better and better and better. This is machine learning. It's running data sets through and through and through, thousands and thousands and thousands of times per second in order to get where you need to be. And this is only able to work because we now have hardware that is able to run calculations at thousands and thousands and thousands of times per second. So the case study of what the singularity is the fact that exponential technology is able to be exponential because it's using 7 billion, not even 7 billion yet, inputs to just hard force its way through to intelligence. It's kind of a wild idea, and obviously I think most of the Yang Gang knows this concept, but we're going straight through the basics. It's 101, Singularity 101. I'm covering all the bases here. And what Google Duplex is it's now the next stage. It is using not just voice recognition and then referencing the internet in general or hard-coded, predetermined answers and reference points. It's trying to really broaden the horizon and deal with contextual conversations. What time would you like to have this dinner reservation? How many people? Is there an issue? How do you respond with that information, get it back to the original person? This is basically what a secretary does. Secretaries who are disproportionately female in the country, they're about to go, but not just them, every single job that uses a phone. Earlier in the show's beginning, I talked about how this was a particularly tricky subject for millennials and Generation Z because we just don't like to use our phones. We don't like to communicate if it's not able to be expressed in the form of hieroglyphic memes and emojis. So, you know, this isn't too much of a shock. Millennials will be the very first one to start using this. Man, I really should have written a few more show notes because I'm a little disjointed here. Basically, I asked the question, why has it been a year and we haven't seen this take off, right? It would make sense if we're talking about exponential technology for this to be currently widespread. There's two answers to that question, and one of them is going to require me to go and grab some tinfoil. So let's put that one on the back burner real quick and just say the very first thing, which is people don't like talking to Google Duplex. Well, it's not that people don't like talking to Google Duplex. The correct way to say that is actually people don't know that they're talking to Google Duplex. No one has been able to say accurately, at least in this article that I had read about it, that they were speaking to a robot. And in fact, that's the issue, is that once they were aware that this technology was what they were actually dealing with, they became deeply, deeply unsettled. They were very uncomfortable with the fact that they were speaking to a thing and not a human. And this is understandable, I guess. Honestly, for me, it was a bit of a step to take to understand it. I'm naturally just a little bit more accepting of tech. But people, you know, this is a very good response to have. They're unsettled because they're kind of being manipulated. They are being manipulated in some way. I mentioned that this robocall is never, ever going to get angry or impatient. It'll always be able to resolve the call with a chipper tune and a top of the morning. You know, it's going to be very, like, thank God it's going to do away with that low level hell that I talked about earlier, which is call center work. But at the same time, using your voice to end the call as perfectly as possible is a form of manipulation, right? Ethically, it's good for the business and it's good for the other person, and this is just the way things work. But the ethics start to change once you no longer have a human involved in that situation. Now, all of a sudden, this robotic function, which is a superhuman, it has superhuman capabilities. It has no issues with tone, intonations. It's better at getting down the hard answers of what questions the other person on the line has. But also, you know, okay, right there, let's put that there. It's good at what it does, but two, it has access to some serious information. It has access to how long have you been a customer at this business or that business? How many people are on your family plan? Let's learn a little bit about them. This person has downloaded My Little Pony or something applications on their phone. That's probably the worst children's cartoon that I could have thought of in that moment to illustrate this. But, you know, this person has children applications on its phone, so we can say that, all right, this person has been a customer with us for 6 years. They have a child on their family plan. You know, just take that and run with it a little ways. You're suddenly able to generate a massive amount of data, and then you can use that with this superhuman personality to, hey, I think you would definitely do very well with this plan, because it would cater to the fact that you are a mother with a child. And really, this is all that sales is. But again, the ethics of what this means for everything is monumental, because you have a super persuasive algorithm that is able to do this manipulation on a scale that has never been seen before. And it's not just business, right? This is where I'm going to have to put my tinfoil hat on, but for the sake of continuing the conversation, this is where things start to get very dicey. The first thing that I said was that people aren't comfortable with the fact that they're speaking to robotics, and two, okay, well, no, it's really only that one. People aren't comfortable with it, and so it's halted the entire process because people get very upset once they realize what's happened. And at this point, Google is taking a step back. They want to make sure they have the PR, the public relation angle for this issue dealt with first and foremost, because don't get me wrong, it has been ready to roll out for a long time now. They have significantly narrowed down the parameters of what Google Duplex will be performing, and they've also made it a requirement that before the phone call is initiated, it's actually stated that this is a this is Google Duplex, a robotic assistant making this call. Hi, how are you today? They begin with that phrase, and that's kind of a non-starter because we're currently in the apocalyptic hell, which is robocall mania, where every single day of your life you're getting 6,000-7,000 calls from Rachel with vacation resorts. Hello, how are you? So that's an issue. It greatly inhibits the way in which Google Duplex can operate. It slows the adoption by a significant margin by putting that requisition in. And it's also a little, right, this is kind of like the issue of technology in general. Let's say that the United States military develops a dangerous technology, and then we get caught up in the fact of, oh man, well, how are we going to legislate and roll this out? And though, that your enemies or other people around the world are getting access to this technology, and they don't have the democratic process like we do. They don't have a respect for humanity like we might, and so then you're in this weird problematic area that you're falling behind, and you need to be able to head forward. So here's the tinfoil hat conversation. At a certain point, this technology is going to be available, right? That's what I like to say. Hey, we can't say this is going to be like the Industrial Revolution because software is what we're talking about, not hardware, and software is replicable for zero cost. You can make a farm plow that's going to automate farm hands, but you have to have people building that plow. You can make a Google Duplex, right, with one team of engineers. You don't need factories building Google Duplexes to roll out. You don't need that type of industry, right? The equation has changed. The equation has changed, and I wish that was a more salient understanding when people talk about automation, because we haven't defined what this is yet, and that's why I'm trying so hard to do that here on this show. It's different. It's different this time around. Google Duplex is going to, when the cat's out of the bag, suddenly this is available to everyone. I mean, if they were able to, it takes a lot of hard coding and very intelligent people to do so, but it's only a matter of time before the same con artists who are blowing up your phone each and every day, who are blowing up your grandmother's phone, sweet old granny, whoever, grand, is getting a call from, admittedly probably someone with a thick Indian accent saying that this is the Internal Revenue Service and you owe us $60,000, but we'll take payment and 10 iTunes cards and we'll be even, right? But your grandmother, God bless her soul, she's lived so many years, and she's onset dementia, and she falls for it, and she walks down to the Piggly Wiggly and she picks up some Apple iTunes cards for the scary IRS man on the other end of the phone, right? We already have to be cognizant, and we already have to talk to our elderly family members and say, hey, we unless it's coming in the mail and it's got this stamp on it, and even then come to us first, right? We have to cover those bases. Now it's going to get even crazier, right? My grandmother's going to get a call, and it's going to be, hey, it's Seth. Listen, I'm really in trouble right now. I'm somewhere outside of this city. My car is broken down. I need $1,000. They're trying to tow my car. Something's happening, right? and it's going to sound just like me because they've been able to take all of the voice recordings that they've done of me on the Dividend Report, on Securing the Bag, talking about the technological singularity. How ironic, right? And they'll be able to feed that into machine learning algorithm, and bam, every single person that I know is suddenly bombarded with desperate emergency calls from me asking for help. And since they love me, they're gonna help me out, I guess. But you might think that this is a crazy concept, and it's a couple of years down the road. But we're about to listen to something here, which has happened a couple weeks ago now, actually. Joe Rogan, which many of you, if not all of you, if any of you do not know who Joe Rogan is, which is just impossible. Joe Rogan is the person that Andrew Yang had his first kind of breakout interview with. Well, I guess Sam Harris was first. Joe Rogan does this podcast. He has thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of him speaking, and someone took all of that audio information, and check out what they did with this. This is an artificial intelligence, deep learning recreation of Joe Rogan's voice. So nothing that you're about to hear is Joe
benefits.
Speaking.
I can pronounce tongue twisters now. Check this.
So the video starts, it says, the following audio clips are not real. They were generated by a machine learning model.
Friends, I've got something new to tell all of you. I've decided to sponsor a hockey team made up entirely of chimps. I'm tired of people telling me that chimps are not capable of kicking human ass in sports. Chimps are just superior athletes, and these chimps have been working out hard. They're throwing kettlebells, battle ropes, everything. I've got them on a strict diet of bone broth and elk meat. These chimps will rip your balls off. God damn, it's impressive. All I got to say is, see you on the ice, folks. Pronounce tongue twisters now? Check this out. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? She sells seashells on the seashore. The shells she sells are seashells, I'm sure. Also, since my brain is connected to the internet, I've become a medical expert. Did you know that basilar membrane and otolaryngology are not autocorrelations? Hey, Joe Rogan, it's me, Joe Rogan. Please come save me, man. These artificial intelligence guys have trapped me in a machine.
All right, so you guys get it. And I gotta say, using these headphones, I'm really getting a much closer listen. It's obviously, if you've listened to Joe Rogan, you can tell that the intonations, the characteristic of what he's saying is off. It doesn't seem quite right. And I picked that up the first time, but as I'm listening in these headphones, I can really kind of hear the waving quality. So it's crazy. I saw like a couple years ago, someone was trying to get an AI algorithm to speak just from listening, like from one sentence that someone would say, and it would just go, like they would hit play on this algorithm, and it would go like up and down the entire vocal range, of the decibel level of this, parameter set. And it was so crazy. You would hear the wildest sounds as it was first trying to figure out, okay, we're right here, I think. Let me try that. And then it would play back, and then it would play back, and it would play back. And you can literally just see it learning and getting better and getting better. And I can hear on a very small level this type of waving that you would pick up from. But again, we just had Singularity 101. We just talked about how terrible Siri was in 2011 compared to right now. What's this going to be in 2025, right? Exponential technology. That's the type of scheme that we're thinking of here. If you see me messing with my eye here, I'm like down to my last contact, and it is driving me nuts. I may have to go glasses after this. I don't know if my persona can withstand it. So, anyways, this is insane. All like, I can sit here and talk about how I can critique it, get down to the minute detail, and talk about how it's not quite there yet. But if they used this on my voice and sent it over to my grandmother, it's over. They've got her. And so this is a little problematic. And we have to be having discussions like, hey, hey Granny, if I call, and this is so like, this is catch 22, right? If I go to my grandmother and I'm like, hey Granny, if you hear a call from me and it sounds like me and I'm asking you for something and maybe it seems like an emergency, I need you to ask me a password. And this is what the password is. And then I'm going to have to write down the password and post it up on her refrigerator and hope that she remembers that we had this conversation. Oh gosh. But that's assuming that it goes okay, because now all of a sudden I'm the lunatic in the family who's going to his family members talking about passwords and, hey, wait, you're going to hear someone who sounds like me, but it's not the real me. It's not the real me, and you can't listen to them. And okay, the password. You need to remember the password. The password, okay? No. Okay, listen. I said it sounds like me, but it's not going to be me, right? I'm going to be sent to a sanitarium. We don't even have sanitariums. They're going to build one specifically for me and send me to it, right? Like, we're reaching that weird part, but we saw this happen 15 years ago with people who were throwing the flag on NSA and the fact that they're collecting all of our data, and people called them conspiracy theorists. And then all of a sudden, they've never gotten their validation, their I told you so moment. You know, it's kind of a shame, but it's crazy. It's some crazy times that we're about to approach. Andrew Yang's the only one who's mentioned any of this. He hasn't mentioned it in this kind of light, for good reason. You can't as a presidential candidate. But Andrew Yang's the only person who's got an idea for how to even begin to deal with these issues that we're, every second that passes, every single clocking second that passes, we are behind on. Boy, crazy. It's crazy. All right, so real quick, just another part on this, like news that just came out an hour ago. This is I haven't read it yet, but I think it's going to be very pertinent to this discussion. Headline: Alibaba has claimed a new record in AI language understanding. An AI program developed by Alibaba has notched up a record high score on a reading comprehension test. The English words, result shows how much machines are steadily improving at handling text and speech. The new record was set using the Microsoft Machine Reading Comprehension, or MS Marco for short, dataset, which uses real equations that Bing users have asked in the past. Bing, think if they had been using Google, this would have been done a lot sooner. The AI program had to read many web pages of information to be able to answer questions such as, what is a corporation? In this case, the answer would be, a corporation is a company or a group of people authorized to act as a single entity and recognized as such in law. Its scores were close to or slightly better than humans, according to two measures. AI algorithms have been improving at these sorts of question and answer tasks thanks to large, flexible learning algorithms and copious amounts of data. The Alibaba team developed a technique that essentially prunes out irrelevant text before trying to answer a question. Better language understanding helps Alibaba improve chatbots that offer support to small retailers, says ｌofi. That's actually Lu space C, not Lucy. I was just thinking, no one is named Lucy. No one's named Lucy. I don't know of a single Lucy. Do you know of a single Lucy? I don't know of a single Lucy. Lucys don't exist anymore. It's a conspiracy. It's like, there's Lacey's. I don't think this universe has Lucy's. We only have Lacey's, but we think we remember Lucy, but it's really like a Berenstein Bears versus Berenstein Bears deal. You know, what is it? I'm not even going to go there. Lucy Hale. I don't know who that is, Christine. Lucy, I don't know. Do I know who that is? I might know who that is. Anyways, the program, I really do need to go back and read some comments. We'll do that right after this discussion here. Really, again, 1,000 viewers to 1,000 subscribers will get super chat. It'll make it a lot easier. Better language understanding helps Alibaba, says Lucy, a VP at Alibaba's DAMO Academy, who led the team that developed the new algorithm. It can also make web search more natural. He adds that it will be a key part of the company's cloud offerings that could even help break down the language barriers between different businesses. Lucy Liu. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, Futurama didn't teach you anything. Okay, listen, guys, get out of my stream. I'm trying to work. I'm kidding. No, please stay. Please stay. All right, better than us, though. The new program is not, however, better at reading comprehension than humans. It was simply able to answer some questions about a subset of text better than people, on average. It is essentially doing statistical pattern recognition without comprehending the meaning of the words it sees. So that last sentence right there is basically the question of sentience. It's the lights on in the attic philosophical question, which is basically you can build this machine. There's also, what is it, the Chinese room? Oh man, it's been a while since I had my philosophy class, but you can build a box that speaks like a human, acts like a human, talks like a human, but can you tell if it's a human or not? Basically, you can't even tell if other humans are humans because of the brain and a vat theory. But before we even go there, it's basically, does it even matter, though, is the question at the end of the day. Is there a light on in the attic or not? If it fools the human into completing the task, getting the call made and finished and resolved at the end of the day, then the question of sentience really doesn't matter. Right? It says it's doing statistical pattern recognition without comprehending the meaning of the words it sees. Now, there's kind of two lines of thought when it comes to the singularity. The first being that the singularity, it has a prerequisite, and that prerequisite is that sentience has to be attained within artificial intelligence. You have to have a robot that can think for itself, that can extrapolate data, that has some sense of intuition. But then, and I'm pretty sure that there's the other thought of the singularity, and I saw this most succinctly put down in Isaac Asimov's The Last Question. And this was the concept of the micro-vat. The micro-vat is basically, think of whatever massive supercomputer that we have right now. I think the best running computer currently is located in China. Or there's a battle between China and the United States for the best computer. In this story, the world's best computer is labeled micro-vat. It gets better and better at artificial intelligence. However, it never fully achieves sentience. It's just continually getting better and better and better and better. But at a certain point, humanity is able to go to micro-vat and basically ask it a question. You would go to Siri and say, "Hey Siri, how can we cure cancer?" And micro-vat goes through and it finds through comprehension, right? It's not sentient. It's not making these decisions on its own, but it's able to take an input and then do an output of extremely accurate value, where essentially you have a genie in a bottle. And it doesn't just take 3 wishes. This is something that humans go to as a oracle that basically is able to solve all of our problems. We cure cancer. We develop strong microfiber and nanotechnology. We build a space elevator. We develop a Dyson sphere and harness the sun's energy. We get cryo chambers, and suddenly we're an intergalactic civilization, pressing on out through the stars. And you reach the singularity, but there's not a light on in the attic. So, in many ways, and I know that this is really science fiction, but at the same time, it's not. It's philosophical reasoning and analysis. The question doesn't quite matter if you think about it enough. The question maybe matters in terms of the time frame that we are dealing with. How fast is this going to happen? It's definitely going to happen a lot faster if these robots kick on and they start thinking for themselves, because at that point they take it into their own hands. They trowel through the internet. They begin to learn faster and faster and faster. They're not constrained by the time, the experience of time that humans do. They can run millions of computations per second. They can run simulations. They can run a simulation that goes 1,000,000 years in a couple of seconds. So, once the light kicks on, the singularity happens in the next moment. This is a very crazy idea. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is definitely an out there idea. I don't necessarily buy into it, but I don't think that the probability of this being zero is absolute. I think there may be a less than 1% chance that this might happen. Someone somewhere in the world, some organization gets it. They finish the line of code, they hit enter, that light comes on, and then in the next moment the explosion happens. The singularity is met. The requirement, the prerequisite hits, and in a matter of seconds, if not the next moment, whatever happens next, we can't even make an assumption about. The question of benevolence or malevolence within a sentient AI, it doesn't matter really, because it's the event horizon. When you're thinking of the singularity, which is a black hole in Hawking and Einstein's theories, the singularity occurs. There's the event horizon, the point at which nothing can escape the gravitational pull of this singular point in space and time. Light is being sucked in. All matter is being sucked in, and we can see the event horizon, that moment, but we can't see beyond it. Basically, if you saw something falling into it, they would just freeze, and eventually it would turn a dark shade of red. And but basically, it's a curtain that you can't go beyond, and that is the same for this form of the technological singularity. It could happen at any moment, just like a solar flare from the sun at any moment could fry the entire Earth, and we wouldn't even realize it. This could happen. This could happen if this is the correct understanding of technology. And there's a whole listen. Okay, there are so many people here who are more deeply analytical that are probably a little. They're probably rolling their eyes at everything that I'm saying here, but I love this concept. I really like this concept. Yes, it's called the Chinese room thought experiment. Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking. John Cyril, is he an individual that I was referencing in one of those parts? Welcome to the chat, Helen. It's very nice to have you here. I hope you're doing well tonight. You wish for glasses only when you don't have to avoid steam, and then everything will inhibit your vision. Yeah, I'm really struggling here. Everything is blurry in this one eye, and I can't deal with it at all. Side note, I'm trying to gauge when to start dinner. Let me know when you're 20 minutes from being done. Okay, well, oh wow, man, we've already been through an hour. I thought this was going to be a shorter episode tonight. Teeny, yeah, it's probably about 20 minutes for sure. Thank you. Listen, hey, I'm gonna go out there and help you. I really am. Thank you so much. Yeah, you wear glasses, Seth. We won't mind. No, I'm these glasses. I've had these glasses since 3rd grade. They don't fit. I've lost one of those gel pads, so they're wonky and askew. I'm trying to wear suits. I'm trying to be presentable. The moment I put these glasses on, I'm gonna shed 20 subscribers. I can guarantee it. Or maybe I'll gain some. Who knows? Who knows? You never know. Much of this deep learning software is open source, which means no licensing costs, just electricity bills. That too, exactly. I mean, I was kind of talking a little about and inferring the idea that this gets out somehow. Some hacker, some black hat gets the code and puts it out there. But yeah, increasingly more and more open source is the technology of the future. Especially with blockchain, especially with all of these types of collaborative peer-to-peer efforts, it's very possible that licensing costs aren't even an issue, aren't even a barrier. Not only are distribution costs not a barrier at all. Very crazy stuff. Very crazy stuff. A recent experience from Twitter. Just got off the phone making fundraising calls for Andrew Yang. I got 3 pledges for donations, and everyone I reached was eager to talk about him. The last person thanked me for making the calls. If anyone else would like to make calls, please let me know. #YangGang. And someone on the subreddit r/Yang for President HQ. I believe the user's name is u/Trumpian, Trumpean. He is offering $5 for individuals who have pledged to make phone banking calls. So I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, so I'm going to be definitely hitting him up. And again, tomorrow's episode may be about phone banking, and maybe I can go through it, show you how it's done if you're interested at all. But again, this is a good segue back into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, which is the idea of this very realistic, this very one-to-one, this very amazing technology. Think of what a forward-thinking campaign like Yang's could do if they had access to Google Duplex. Suddenly, you know, I was thinking about this, is we have all of these notions as people outside of the political movement of what's important. And really what sucks is that a lot of this, especially with the younger generation, is built on the idea that just tweeting about these candidates is an important thing, but really it's types of activism, it's types of going and knocking door to door, making these phone calls. These are like, they may seem behind the scenes movements, but cumulatively they make it or break it. Really, if this tech was here right now in the hands of individuals, if one campaign got their hands on this tech, they've won the presidency. They've won the presidency. And I do think that the Russian influence discussion hasn't gotten the serious look that it needs because of bipartisan or partisanship, because of just how the machine grinds up anything important and tries to spit it out into digestible and easily forgettable bits of information. But influences of technology is basically what the Russian influence, international shenanigans. That's the catchy phrase, but technology is influencing. Technology is effectively an external source, an international source, in some ways, you know. One campaign gets their hands on Google Duplex. We have to reach 20,000. We have to reach 20,000 people in New Hampshire, and we're ringing the bells. We're calling the Yang Gang to do this. You had Google Duplex, you can make 20,000 calls in an hour, if that, you know. It can go through, it can collect all of the perfect questions, answers. It has the perfect intonation, right? I remember years and years and years ago as a kid when I went to Disney World. No, it was Universal. I'm not sure, but they had these long escalators that were, I guess, taking people from the parking area to the main gates. And I was amazed, first and foremost, at how long this corridor with these escalators seemed. But two, I heard the voice that was saying, please remain in a single file line. The exits can be found here and here. Please no pushing, and check out or make sure that this thing or that thing. And I kind of joked and I said, wow, like this guy sounds like I don't know. I made fun of the way that he was speaking, and my brother turned to me and said, this is done for a reason. They have tested and tested and tested on the general population. What sounds, what tones, what type of just feeling a vocal experience has upon people, who is the correct speaker to get the thought across. Hey, stand in line. Don't freak out. Don't, because you're dealing with millions of people traveling through this corridor every single day. You have to do some type of massive choraling. It's effectively a sheepdog. I know, like I'm not going to try to get too crazy here, but so that same type of understanding and research and everything can be used. The same type of manipulation I was speaking before by a candidacy. You get the call, hey, are you interested in this? Maybe it's picked up a little bit of your data that's been floating around, your metadata that's been, picked up by some probably shady corporation that deals with pairing metadata to a portfolio profile of each individual, each potential voter. What did they vote for in the last election? What are their main interests? Are they male? Are they female? Are they worried about automation? Are they an immigrant? Do they have family members who are immigrants? Are they illegal immigrants? Are they documented? I don't know, but they know. And they feed that into this algorithm, and that algorithm makes 20,000 calls in an hour. Boom. Boom. There you go. You just won the presidency. It's crazy. That's crazy. But it could happen. It could absolutely happen. And who knows? If anyone had that technology right now, I would bet on Biden, There's something that's happening in just a couple days, and Biden, shockingly enough, is not going to be showing up. What is this? boy, I have it pulled up here. Stick with me in just a moment. Sioux City, which is in Iowa. Yeah, perfect, Iowa. 4 Democratic presidential candidates have agreed to debate in Sioux City in late July as part of a series of forums sponsored by AARP and a media partner. The 5 forums, also organized by the Des Moines Register, will be held July 15th to the 20th in 5 cities in Iowa, site of the first in the nation presidential caucuses. Besides Sioux City, sites include Cedar Rapids, Council Bluffs, Davenport, and Des Moines. 20 Democratic presidential candidates have agreed to participate in the forums, although one of those, Eric Swalwell, a congressman from California, ended his campaign on Monday. I didn't know that. Swalwell bites the dust. Eric, it was nice knowing ya, but he is the weakest link. The July 19th event in Sioux City begins at 2 p.m. with Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, Andrew Yang, and Marianne Williamson taking part. So we've got Elizabeth Warren, Beto, Andrew, and Marianne. July 19th. This is huge. This is really big. And okay, sorry, I threw some shade on Biden, but it looks like he's going to be there, just not during this event. But maybe, I don't know. He may not. This is really interesting because we're going to get Yang and Elizabeth Warren. I'm not worried about O'Rourke in the slightest. We may get universal basic income out there. I'm a little unsure about this. And again, I hate throwing some shade on Marianne, on Auntie Williamson, but I don't know. The only other candidate currently who has really talked about universal basic income is Marianne, and there's some power in that it's like, hey, he's not just the only one speaking about it, but that's in a vacuum. If you're in a actual forum type stage setting, and you say, hey, I'm for universal basic income, and then Marianne says, I am too. Because the problems that we're dealing with in this country are spiritual, and there is a scar that is a deep spiritual scar, and it's set up in this way by the systems that be. I love you, Aunt Marian. I love you to death, but the association that could happen between Yang and Marianne if they're 2 of 4 people, that's not good, in my opinion. And in that way, it's possible that Yang really doesn't spend much time on universal basic income. I think that his campaign understands this. During The View, they asked about the mic issues, and Yang didn't drop Marianne's name. They dropped her name. I think this is the reason. Because God bless her, she's also bringing up some very, very important conversation. It's just, our country hasn't had its spiritual awakening yet. We're not ready for you, Marianne. We're just not ready for you. That's the sad truth. So we've got some interesting things to see about on July 19th. That's coming up. That's just 10 days from now. So even closer than the Singularity and the July 2019 Democratic debates is this event. So a lot to talk about coming up for sure. I know that I haven't even made it halfway through all of my discussion about robocalls and everything of that nature, but we're starting to drag on just a little bit tonight, and I gotta be quite honest with you, I am slowly losing my mind because of my contact issue. So a special thanks to my patrons, because I think the very first thing that I'm going to take from that fund is something to get contacts with, because this is just untenable. And speaking of, for real, if you enjoy this stream, if you enjoy what I'm doing, if you want to make sure that I'm still able to do this in the months to come, if you could buy me a coffee every month, please head over to my Patreon. It would really, really, really help me out. Thank you to the ones who have already decided to help. But at the very least, if you can't afford the coffee, I completely understand. Make sure that you are subscribed to the Dividend Report. You can catch me here 7 o'clock each day for these live streams. Follow me on Twitter at Dividend Report. I will be doing updates. If for any reason I'm not going to be available during the week, I will update it there. To all of the members in the chat, thank you so much for joining. Real quick, I just saw William said John Searle is the philosopher who devised the Chinese room argument. I need to brush back up on the concept itself because I loved it when I learned about it the first time, but I've forgotten so much of it. We may bring it up very shortly in the next episode. And Makina, I'm so sorry, but there's only enough to feed two. So again, thank you all so much. I'm kidding, of course. Salmon, rice, mashed potatoes, and green beans. Ooh. I'm so... Oh, man. Okay, listen, guys. You heard it. I've got to go. I'm sorry. I have to go secure the dinner. Thank you for joining Securing the Bag, y'all. I am signing off here. Have a wonderful night. Take it easy.